Thank you very much. Happy to see half the room didn't walk out when we started talking about cryptocurrencies, so that's a good sign. My name is Markus Swanepoel. I'm one of the founders and CEO of Luno. We are a global cryptocurrency company. In fact, a couple of years ago, we were at one of these small booths at Web Summit, and things have changed quite a bit, as I'll show you now. I just quickly want to talk about today a little bit about what we do and what we've been up to, and then spend more of the time really talking about where we're going, but more broadly where the industry is going, and as a proxy for that, how we will evolve into that. So our vision is to upgrade the world to a better financial system, and I'll explain to you shortly what that means. We started off actually as a B2B company about 5 years ago, and we built the world's first crypto system for a major bank, Africa's largest bank. This was 2013. And to make a long story short, we realized, one, the banks were going to move way too slow in this space, and B, a lot of banks got obsessed with blockchain, thinking it can solve all of their problems, but it turned out most of those problems were not technology issues, they were human issues. So unfortunately for everyone that's very excited about blockchain, from what we can see, the best use case of a blockchain is a decentralized cryptocurrency such as Bitcoin or Ethereum. So what we've been up to since then, we pivoted to a consumer company about 4 years ago, and we do a couple of things. Our core product is a wallet. It makes it really easy for anyone on the street to buy, sell, use, and learn about digital currencies such as Bitcoin and Ethereum. We also operate exchanges where more professional traders can trade, and that's important to make the wallets work. And we also have APIs that a lot of businesses use, and ironically, some banks are now starting to use as well. We're in 40 countries. We're the market leader in Africa and Southeast Asia. And we also recently launched in Europe, and we have just over 2 million customers. And we have a team of over 200 people. My co-founder is a Googler. And there's a bunch of amazing people in our team, all from Google, Amazon, Facebook. You can see all the names there. And we're also backed by some of the leading investors in the world. Our Series A was led by Naspers. Hopefully some of you know Naspers. It's a $100 billion market cap emerging market investor, probably the biggest emerging market investor in the world. And as we expanded into Europe, we wanted to bring a strong European investor in as well, and Balderton Capital led our Series B round. So let's talk quickly about upgrading the world to a better financial system. We spend a lot of time thinking about how people are going to be using money in the next 10, 20 years' time. And there's a long laundry list of things. If you look at other consumer trends and technology, we think it's going to be, we can live in a world where it's a lot easier to move money around. It's a lot cheaper, if not free, to move money around. There's more interoperability between systems. So I can catch a Pokemon Go, immediately sell it on a third-party marketplace, and then buy something on a VR headset. And that interoperability also extending not just to the systems we as humans use, but also to machines. So if your Tesla is going to be talking to its charging station, why would it not be transacting with each other? And so when people talk about banking the unbanked, often they think about 1 billion poor people in Africa. But for us, the unbanked doesn't just mean that. The unbanked means there are going to be trillions of devices that also need to be banked. And they probably are not going to get banked through the existing financial system. There's also things like better privacy, better, easier compliance, better user experience. I won't go through the whole list. But interestingly, when you talk to most, certainly fintech companies, but even banks and many regulators, when people talk about that future, that fuzzy future, many people agree that's what's going to happen. I think where people disagree is how we're going to get there and how long is it going to take. And there's many companies that are trying to do it, whether it's, I don't want to say all the names of the companies, but Google Pay, Amazon Pay, remittance, consumer remittance companies, consumer challenger banks. A lot of people are starting somewhere, but in the end, that is what they're aiming for. But what we as a company just realize is to build that future, it's highly unlikely it's going to get built on the existing financial infrastructure for many reasons, but to a large extent because you need some global payment protocol or global currency to do it, and likely it will happen on an open system that people can innovate on, so you have those economies of scale. So we're really saying we're approaching that problem, but from the lens of a decentralized cryptocurrency, because we think it's the most efficient way to get to that end goal. So how do we see that play out? At the moment, there's what we call the existing centralized financial system or economy. And already there's a smaller, almost parallel financial system or economy being built, which is that little circle on the right-hand side. And those are some just high-level metrics. You don't have to worry about the wording there, but there's a lot of activity happening here. I think sometimes people look at the Bitcoin price and they use that as a proxy for the entire industry. And it's not true. You need to look at how much capital is being committed, how many people are being hired, how many developer commits there are. how many customers are signing up every day across the industry, which is enormous, and people don't realize that. So what we're saying is, right now, there's a parallel system being built, of which the major use case at the moment is around money. So in this new financial system, people will still be able to use money for payments, for investment, for lending, but there's going to be different ways to use it, and it's going to be highly optimized for what we call a decentralized economy. But on top of the financial use cases, we also see broader use cases in that economy, and that's more decentralized applications, decentralized storage, decentralized identity, and really building new systems that take out the intermediaries in a lot of systems we know today. Now, the one important thing about that is there's one common denominator for that entire new financial economy or decentralized economy that's being built, and that is you need cryptocurrencies to access it. So that's really what Luno, to a large extent, is. We are a trusted gateway into this new world. If it's about money, we already allow you to take your normal money and move it into cryptocurrencies. But if you want to access all those other goods and services, you need to go through that same route in any case. So when we say we are upgrading the world to a better financial system, all we mean is we allow you to access that new economy. So often, when you're a consumer and you download our app, which you can do here as well, and you say download, I'm buying some Bitcoin, many people might think I am making an investment or I'm going to use it to transact. But what we don't see is you buying something. What we see is we've now transitioned a little bit of you from the old financial system into the new financial system. And in this new financial system, all kinds of interesting things are possible. I just want to make a quick comment on the financial use case specifically, because a lot of people are very enamored at the moment around, Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies as an investment or highly speculative asset. Now, just remember, only a couple of years ago, most people were saying, we don't care about cryptocurrency, we only care about blockchain, it's never going to work. And now already the narrative has changed to, well, it's an asset class. We see what Morgan Stanley wrote this week as well. They say it's an asset class. A lot of institutional investors are thinking that. But a lot of people are wondering, but will it ever go from an asset class to something that we will use in our everyday lives? And we think it 100% will. And we can see some data points around that already. So this graph, it's not very big, but basically the biggest problem with adoption, it's a chicken and egg, right? No one will use cryptocurrency in their everyday life if everyone else is not using it. So how do you overcome that? And this is typically network effects, right? So the more someone uses, people use something, the more other people will use it, and then it grows in value. So the green slope refers to the current size of a network. So as the network increases, the value of the network becomes more important, and then you get exponential growth, right? That's how classic network effects work, and any currency, including Bitcoin, has massive network effects. But how do you incentivize those network effects? That's the big problem. So if you look at other industries, if they have a similar business, they do it in different ways, but effectively what they do is they give people something. So if you think about something like PayPal, PayPal was successful for many different reasons, in particular eBay, but right in the beginning, why would anyone use PayPal? No one would use it because no one was using PayPal. So they literally put money into your wallet and say, here's $10 or $20, please use PayPal. And then that incentivized people. And to a large extent, other marketplaces like Uber do exactly the same. They discount your ride by 60 to 80%, depending on which country you're in. So they indirectly giving you money or value for you to use the system just to build up that critical mass so that they can then, the thing starts working by itself. Now, the beauty about cryptocurrencies, in particular something like Bitcoin, is it has a built-in incentive mechanism. And that's that orange line. And by the way, I didn't come up with this. This is Fred Wilson. I have to just credit him for that. But that orange line is ownership upside potential. So when people buy into cryptocurrency in the beginning, they have a lot of upside potential, of course with a lot of risk, similar to venture capital. But that incentivizes people to participate in the system. And as more people, as the network grows, the economic incentive drops, but the value of the network increases, and there it becomes more interesting from a transactional point of view. So we don't have to give people $20 to sign up to Luno because they're going to do it in any case because they want this upside potential. So I think the important thing to note is, we're not, companies like ours, we're not building gambling companies, we're not building investment companies. We are building companies that are effectively going to change the way people use finance and transact on their everyday lives. But we are going to have to go through a phase where this, what we call greed, is driving mass market adoption. And to just give you guys a kind of an anecdote, we were speaking to a massive online news company about 3 or 4 years ago, and we built a really nice way to get through paywalls with cryptocurrency. And they said to us, this is great, we're going to add it. How many users do you have? And we said 10,000. And they said, okay, well, that's a bit of a problem. Come back to us when you have 500,000 users. So now we have 2 million users. Now that becomes a lot more of an easier conversation. But not one of our users bought Bitcoin to go through a paywall. Most of them bought it because they thought they're going to get some kind of return. But guess what? Now when the paywall comes up, they won't all convert, but some of them will convert because it's just so easy to pay with this stuff, especially when you're on a mobile phone. So just to kind of wrap that up, how do we see the industry move towards that end goal? Like many things in lives, you can't just snap your fingers and we're in this new financial system. And I think a lot of people are a little bit overeager. The previous financial system was built, in a few hundred years, and we're not going to do this in 2 years. But the first phase for us is bridging the old and the new. This is really taking people from this old financial world or fiat currency and dipping their toes in the new cryptocurrency system. As that moves forward, we will start growing the ecosystem. So this is where more businesses plug into, you get more merchants, you get more banks, and so on. And then once there's a critical mass of users in this ecosystem, then you can start doing all that cool stuff that I said at the beginning in that fuzzy future. Then you can leverage that paradigm and start doing all this interesting stuff. So let me maybe just wrap that up with one last thought. I think our industry is quite controversial sometimes. There's a lot of things that we don't know. Is it going to be Bitcoin or Ethereum? Will Bitcoin scale? Will it even be digital currency? But if there's one thing that we know for a fact is that the way people think about and use money will change. And the reason we know that for a fact is because it's changed so many times in history. If you read on the history of money for the past few thousand years, it's changed many times. So what we're saying is we just happen to live in one of those changes right now, and we are building the platform to help people navigate that journey to this new financial system. Thank you.